welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. This Wednesday afternoon video is going to be a wee review of Celtic news now that the international break window is now closed and Celtic are making plans for a big 3 weeks of the 25-26 season with 7 very key games between now and the next international break between November the 13th and 18th. Games where Celtic should be looking to win all 7 or at least get 6 wins and 1 draw, which will put us top of the table and get us further and further up the Europa League table towards the playoff positions. So in the video, as I say, we'll have a wee look at the 11 Celtic players who are coming back from international duty. We look at those 7 games coming up for Celtic between now and the next international break, and 1 or 2 other wee bits of Celtic-related news. So on Sunday, 2 of Celtic's players, Anthony Ralston and Kieran Tierney, were involved in Scotland's 2-1 win over Belarus. Anthony Ralston started the game at right back, and Kieran Tierney came on actually to replace Ralston in the second half. Scotland kind of limped to a 2-1 win. The win was the most important thing, and that does put Scotland into at least a playoff position for next summer's World Cup. Thought Kieran Tierney actually looked pretty decent. And in defence for Scotland against Belarus, Anthony Ralston was a wee bit disappointing. Not terribly much of a threat moving forwards. At the same time, the same evening, Kasper Schmeichel was playing for Denmark in their 3-1 win over Greece. And it was a game in which he didn't have terribly much to do, and Denmark also guaranteed themselves a top 2 place in that group and go into the final couple of World Cup qualifiers in pole position because of their better goal difference, which is the first separator if 2 teams are tied on points, as is the case currently with Scotland and Denmark. Disappointingly, Viljami Sinisalo, who had started the previous game for Finland in their World Cup qualifiers, was dropped to the bench by the manager of Finland for their game against Netherlands, a game in which they lost 4-0. And so maybe the Finnish manager was regretting his decision to drop Sinisalo to the bench. It was also decided at the weekend for Daisen Maeda to come home early from Japanese international duty. He had missed the first game of their 2 friendlies due to a foot problem, and this foot problem wasn't improving, and so he was sent back to Celtic and to Lennoxtown for further treatment and assessment, and hopefully he will be fit for Sunday's game against Dundee. There were a number of players involved with international games on the Monday. Marcelo Saraci played again for Uruguay, again at left back, although this time not as a captain, and they beat Uzbekistan 2-1 in a friendly, and it appears that Saraci has managed to get himself a squad place back with Uruguay, having been out of favour for a wee while, and they of course are already qualified for next summer's World Cup, and so he has the potential for World Cup games next summer, and possibly Celtic may look to change the loan deal into a permanent deal for him to be the left-back partner for Kieran Tierney for the next few years. Also on Monday, Sebastian Chinecki played the first half of Tunisia's World Cup qualifier 3-0 win over Namibia. He had a minor thigh problem leading up to the game, however that appears to have fully cleared up, and he should be fully fit for Sunday's game against Dundee, and appears to have got through that 45 minutes of football for Tunisia without any problems, and Tunisia are another country already qualified for next summer's World Cup. Benjamin Negrin yet again spent the whole game against Kosovo for Sweden on the bench. Sweden surprisingly lost 1-0 at home to Kosovo. They are rooted to the bottom of their qualifier group, and they actually sacked their manager after the game. Gustav Lagerbielke, the ex-Celtic player, he started again at right centre-back, and on the bench beside Benjamin Nygren was another ex-Celtic player, this time Karl Starfelt. And it does seem like a bit of a waste of time for Benjamin Nygren to go off on Sweden international duty and end up sitting on the bench twice. Sweden were going through a rather disappointing couple of games. On Tuesday, Liam Scales was expected to be back in the Ireland squad for their next World Cup qualifier against Armenia, a game that they won 1-0. However, Scales was again absent, and presumably his bereavement leave was extended by Ireland, and so there may be a wee bit of uncertainty as to whether he will be available for selection on Sunday. Also involved in international football on the Tuesday was Celtic's young right-back, Colby Donovan. He was part of a 3-3 draw between Scotland under 21 and Azerbaijan under 21, a game littered with yellow cards and red cards. Colby Donovan actually played at centre-back rather than right-back. Also playing in the game was Kyle Ewer, who is a Celtic player on loan at Ayr. And in the second half, late on, Ben McPherson, another Celtic player away on loan, this time at Partick Thistle, came on as a late substitute. But it would appear that Donovan, who also got yellow carded during the game, has managed to come through that game, which was rather controversial and strewn with red cards and yellow cards, appears to have come through that without injury and should hopefully be back in training as we speak. Cameron Carter-Vickers, very early on Wednesday British time or late in the evening American time, was on the bench again, this time for America against Australia, a game that America won 2-1. And similarly, Cameron Carter-Vickers has travelled all the way to America to sit on the bench and watch his team playing in a couple of friendlies. And hopefully Carter-Vickers was able to get on an airplane back to Scotland bright and early on Wednesday morning American time, which would be around about now Scottish time, and hopefully he's into training for Friday and Saturday and fit and available for the game against Dundee on Sunday. Some good news for Celtic, however, this week is that Alistair Johnston is back in full training and apparently doing well so far. Brendan Rodgers was a wee bit vague as to whether Johnston will be fit and available for the game against Dundee, whether he's going to be kept in reserve for the European match the following Thursday against Sturm Graz. But I think it's very good for Celtic that Alistair Johnston is back in the squad, as I think he is a player who is a leader on the pitch, a player who's very vocal on the pitch, and I think Celtic are lacking leadership and direction and passion on the pitch, and Alistair Johnston as well, being a very good defender, very good in midfield and the final third, is also, I think, an important player at getting Celtic on fired up and full of passion and aggression, and so hopefully he can come back and do that over the next few weeks. We update on our ex-player Nicholas Kuhn, who of course left us in the summer to go off to Como in Italy. He's been having a very disappointing, poor start to his Como career. He's had 2 starts and 3 times as a sub, and was actually dropped out of the matchday squad for their most recent match. In the 5 games he has played, no goals and no assists, and so it looks like Nicholas Kuhn is having a very slow start to his career with Como, and has been dropped out the squad, possibly just for 1 game, but we'll see at the weekend whether he gets back into Como's matchday squad or even into their team. As I say, Celtic do have an important set of 7 games coming up between now and the next international break, which is between November the 13th and 18th. That starts obviously with the game against Dundee away from home this Sunday. Then the home game in the Europa League against Sturm Graz on Thursday the 23rd. That will be followed close by the Hearts away game on Sunday the 26th. Then there's a midweek game against Falkirk on Wednesday the 29th. Then the League Cup semi-final the following Sunday, Sunday the 2nd of November, against Rangers, who still are managerless and still seem to be going round and round in circles, trying to replace the sacked Russell Martin. Following that, the following Thursday the 6th of November, Celtic have an away game against Midtjylland in Denmark, a game that will be kicking off at 17:45. And the seventh and final of those games between now and the next international break is on Sunday, the 9th of November, a home game against Kilmarnock. And so Celtic have, over that period, a League Cup semi-final, 2 Europa League games, games against the teams currently lying first and third in the Scottish Premiership, as well as games against Dundee and Falkirk. And I certainly think if Celtic are playing anywhere near their good form, there should be 6 wins and 1 draw at least out of that. And if Celtic did play to their best potential, I think they could also win away from home against Midtjylland. Also, final wee bit of news regarding the Europa League. Celtic have dropped some of their prices for the last 3 home games in the Europa League for season ticket holders who've yet to get their Europa League package. The prices are down to 39 per game, 30 for concessions, and 27 for the under 13s. However, for those who are not season ticket holders, the prices for those 3 games against Utrecht, Sturm Graz, and Roma will remain at £45 plus a £1.50 booking fee. Be a bit disappointing that they didn't bring the ticket prices down for non-season ticket holders, but it does look like the executives on the board are responding in some ways to some of the requests raised at the Monday meeting at the start of the international break. So that finishes things off for this Wednesday afternoon update video. We'll be doing a couple more videos between now and the preview of the Dundee match. That Dundee match will be at lunchtime on Sunday, away from home at Dens Park in Dundee. Also, we'll be doing a live stream tomorrow evening, Thursday evening at 9 p.m. So do pop into that and give your opinions, share your thoughts, and have a nice chat, debate, discussion with myself and other Celtic fans. All welcome and all opinions welcome, but please do keep things pleasant, polite, and respectful. And as always, at the end of the videos, we polite suggestion, encouragement for those not yet subscribed to the channel. Please do click that subscriber button. Keep the numbers going up and up through the 1400s. And do feel free to pop your own thoughts into the comment section regarding any Celtic issues at the moment. Again, for a nice wee different sort of chat and debate and friendly opinion sharing. And so until the next video, goodbye and hail, hail.